Welcome to the Pencil Bob channel. I hope you enjoy the story. Remember to like and subscribe. And now the story.
An ex-coworker, Ashley, was a little crazy, but hilariously funny. She told us about her first serious boyfriend, who happened to cheat on her. So once she discovered this, Ashley moved out around the end of winter. Important. To cover the rent, her ex decided to move the new affair GF in right away. However, before Ashley left, she placed single strands of her long distinctive copper red hair along the top of wooden curtain balances, tops of door frames, bookcases, tall shelves, and inside the main bedroom and lounge aircon ceiling vents of EX's house. A few months later, when the ceiling fans and aircon were switched on, single hair strands would fall around the place. Ex-sister-in-law Danielle absolutely hated the new affair GF and had semi-regular coffee dates with Ashley, which continued after the breakup. A few months later, Danielle was telling Ashley that her brother's affair GF was accusing him of cheating with Ashley, due to the strands of hair showing up months after Ashley had moved out. At this point, Ashley told Danielle what she had done. Danielle, who also was a little crazy, thought it was hilarious, so when they had their coffee dates, Ashley would hand over some strands of her hair and Danielle would replace the dropped hair at her brother's house. Of course, Ashley had snipped her hair shorter during this time, so there was shorter strands showing up in the house, which made the affair GF go even more bonkers. It went on for nearly a year before the affair GF left. It's been over 20 years and Ashley's ex is still clueless to this day. I had an ex that I had to go into hiding from because things got so bad. So he got to run the narrative told to everyone. He told everyone that I had cheated on him and gave him an STD. In reality, he had taken ecstasy and had a threesome with 2 other women and caught the STD from one of them. Luckily, I figured it out the next day. I am not one to get revenge, but I won't miss an opportunity when it shows up at my door. In this case, his new girlfriend, who I think was a cool person and hope she not only got away from that guy safely but has a good life, showed up with him at my door. She came by to let me know I may have an STD she believed I gave him. Anyways, my new boyfriend was literally at the hospital and he was there that day I got tested and came up clean, but I also showed her the paperwork. I had made him stand outside because he wasn't welcome in my apartment. He heard everything though, and as I was walking her to the door, he comes running up the stairs to scream about me cheating on him. I just smiled at him and said, "You should probably talk to the 2 girls you cheated on me with." I then went to shut the door, but as I was doing so I saw the look on his girlfriend's face as she looked at him. She knew I was telling the truth. She knew he was a big fat liar. If looks could kill, F that guy. My ex brought myself and our son across the country for a vacation and then left us on the street and flew home to his girlfriend who was moving into our house. I waited until they were happy and settled and expecting their first baby, and then I went to family court and not only got full custody and child support, I got a court order requiring him to pack up the entire contents of our house, everything but his clothes and personal effects, and have it shipped out to me and moved into my home. He fought it. He tried to get me to agree to a cash settlement instead so he didn't have to do the work of packing it all up, paying for the shipping and buying himself all new stuff. I held my ground and fought for everything. I wanted it all. Every last spoon, bed, couch, towel, sippy cup, and curtain. I didn't want his new family using our crib, sleeping in our bed, drinking coffee from my machine. I wanted to leave him with nothing but a suitcase full of clothes and $20 in the bank like he left me and our child. I only wish I could have left him homeless like he left us. And then I sold it all. I got less than the cash settlement he was offering and it was worth it. Best part was telling him about it when he called to beg for visitation and a break on his child support so he could afford new furniture. When I got the evidence of his cheating, I knew beforehand, while he was sleeping. The evidence was on his cell phone that was on my mom's account and she paid for it. One of my friends was at our house. I grabbed his phone and his VCC, debit card, and had her take me to his granny's. I showed his mom and granny the evidence that he had gotten the AP pregnant. The next day I ordered the water and lights to be turned off the next day, a Friday, and sent a text to warn sister-in-law she didn't want to stay at the house then. So he had no phone, no access to his money, and he with his shitty credit was unable to get the utilities reconnected for a week. Sister-in-law let me know when he was going to be out and me, mom, granddad, my uncle and sister-in-law, moved all my stuff out. He had previously accused me of stealing his debit card. So, I then dropped the VCC card behind the dresser. Sister-in-law let me know he found it when moving out. This part isn't really my revenge, just how karma just dealt me a little extra justice, is the dipshit just stopped going to his job, the day I left his ass. He never went back. It was civil service employment, my mom got him in the door. He would have had a nice paying job forever. You have to really mess up to lose a civil service job. To this day, 18 years later, this man bounces around from job to job going months without a job. Then a month after the divorce was finalized, his parents had forced him to marry the AP. My best petty revenge against an ex was nothing. I was fair in the division of assets and debts, with it being slightly more favorable to me since ex was caught cheating. I was reasonable but kept firm boundaries. I did nothing petty. I did not name call. I did not do anything to harm the side piece. Don't get me wrong, I wanted to, but then it occurred to me that revenge was expected. X was revenge-oriented and would have caused all kinds of havoc had the roles been reversed. We had to remain in some degree of contact due to shared pets. It ate X up inside when the shoe never dropped. I felt great joy watching X spiral in ever-increasing paranoia. I remained pleasant but distant. I also realized how toxic we were and felt happy and free, but I never said that to X. My final act of non-revenge revenge was to casually mention as an aside a couple of years post-split in a pet-related email that X might want to take me off of the bank account. I'd gotten my own account immediately after the split, but I remained an authorized user on X's account with online banking access. I'll admit I occasionally checked out expenditures, but I never touched X's money. X freaked out. I can see X going over every statement to see what is taken. Still makes me chuckle. By doing nothing, I got to be the bigger person and caused X a lot of anxiety and denied X any redemption because I acted badly too. X thought like that. Ooh, damn. I have a few from the same event. I came home one morning to find evidence of exactly the girl we had a fight about the night before in his bedroom. Of course I was insecure and, out of line, jealous in said fight. To add context, we lived on a cargo ship with many people. I grabbed her stuff and went looking for them. And for a second held her purse over the water and heavily thought about dropping in there. I came to my senses and decided that wasn't undoable and maybe she didn't deserve that or was to blame in this situation. Hide her stuff in a room no one enters, next to where I almost dropped it and continued my search. And of course, then found them passed out in bed together in the top large room usually occupied by the captain. I drag her out of bed by her ankles, she falls naked on the floor and I tell her to leave because this is between me and my boyfriend. She covers herself in a blanket and runs away and I am literally screaming, yelling and hitting him for a good few minutes when she comes back and is like, "Where's my purse?" I can't leave. And I tell her it's at the bottom of the ocean. I get back to fighting with my boyfriend and she leaves from other people calling her a cab and I heard later she couldn't get into her house because her keys were also in the bag and she ended up at a friend's and had to call a locksmith I think. I stormed off. Thankfully a shipmate drove me off since I was in no shape to drive. And I later learned my boyfriend tried to enlist people to help him find the purse and no one would help him and he went endlessly swimming in the ocean in winter for a bag that was safely tucked away in a closet. I decided to not disclose this till the next day. I heard everyone cackled at my genius with that move when they learned I wasn't truly that out of line, unhinged evil. Crazy enough, this girl and I chatted it out and she holds nothing against me. Said she deserved it and was thankful I didn't actually sink her keys, passport and senior dog medication, and eventually actually turned to my side. After the incident, I moved out of the boat situation the next day because my partner and I were plain done and I was too ashamed to be around these group of people who have seen me now cheated on twice. I then learned there was a group meeting and they decided to kick my boyfriend off the boat as well. In my delusions, we met up again to discuss and get some closure, and I learned that since he was getting kicked off the boat, the other girl was taking him in while he sorted what was next. It was so long ago and I dunno how this situation arised, but he texted her while we were together, and I happen to have a photographic memory when it comes to sequences of numbers. After he left, I directly messaged her and asked her how she can help that piece of trash. We ended up chatting and she clarified he made it really sound like we had been broken up for a while versus we were still living together and only had a spat where saying maybe we should break up was thrown on the table. She was appalled learning this information and apologized to me profusely and said she would have never had done so if she knew it was that recent, let alone not official. Then she shortly texted me later saying she rescinded her offer to house him while he was kicked out of his residence. And heck, since we got this far, I also made a public announcement on Facebook that I wanted support to keep away from this cheater, because I have taken him back before, and that I was no longer associated with him. All of these things now combined, of course, made him livid. He decided his way to get back at me was to expose to my very traditional Japanese mom I have a tattoo on my ribcage, which can only be exposed if I am topless. This dumbass sends a passed-out naked photo of me, exposing my tattoo, to my mom. Thankfully, his plan of sabotaging my relationship with my mom backfired. She was hysterical and was so worried about what he would do next to me. She called the cops, and now he is begging me to call her off, and I tell him he opened this can of worms and he has to deal with the consequences, and now he has a record for revenge porn or something of the like. And if my mom had to learn about my tattoo in a way she would accept it, well, this was oddly it. You can say I won on so many levels of this. And thank goodness I have never dealt with cheating or toxicity like this again in my life. My ex was a stereotypical Sicilian male. Yes, I should have known better. He always bragged about what a great relationship he had with my dad and grandma, Italian immigrants. Payback number 1. After we split, my grandma was upset, for various stupid religious and Italian family reasons, so I assured her that my ex was still available to her for all of the things he had been doing for her. So he was constantly getting calls from her to run errands, plow her driveway, mow the lawn, clean gutters, etc. Ex, smirking. I had dinner with your grandma last weekend. I was there mowing the lawn. She still sees me as a member of the family. Me, that's great. Ex, confused. It is? Me, absolutely. I hated mowing her lawn. Gets me off the hook. Payback number 2. My ex insisted on me paying him $1,000 before he would sign the divorce papers. I had the money, so I gave it to him and got my divorce. Afterwards, he told me, with a smirk, that he and his cousins were planning a trip to see my dad, something we used to do a couple of times a year, since their relationship was still great. My dad had complained to me that he kept calling him about doing this, and Dad just kept putting him off. Dad was worried about backlash onto me if he told my ex to get lost. I told him I'd be fine and he could tell my ex whatever he wanted to get rid of him. Last conversation with ex. Ex, I've been planning a trip with cousins to visit your dad. He's going to show us various tourist things. We're just waiting until he can get time off of work. Me, laughing. That's not gonna happen. Ex, you don't think so? Watch me. Me and your dad are paysans. Me, my dad doesn't like people who blackmail his daughter. Where do you think that $1,000 came from? Ex, shocked Pikachu. Me, you do realize that my dad is the CEO and can take time off whenever he wants, right? He's blowing you off, and you don't even realize it. God, it was a beautiful moment. To be clear, Dad didn't give me the money, but X didn't know that, and according to Dad, X never called him again. He bought me a motorcycle on his credit card. I was going to borrow to buy it, but no, he insisted. Shortly after we split, he was particularly salty about the bike, and I suspected he'd take the credit hit and stop paying it, thinking it would be repossessed. So I rang the credit card company, no names, explained the situation and was assured that it was an unsecured credit card, and if he stopped payment, didn't matter, they couldn't take the bike, they would go after him. 6 months later I got a call from the CC company. I hadn't changed my home number. Did I know Mr. So-and-so? Why yes, I did. Do I know where he is? Why yes, I do. And I told them the address, his new mobile phone number, email, everything. That particular company had a reputation of being sharks. X hadn't been passing car payments over to finance company. Both our names on the contract, but I was giving her the payments. 6 months worth. Finance company got hold of me. I went and seen the dragon. She made to offer that if I caught up the missed payments, moving forward she'd pay half the payments. The only problem with this was I'd already given her 6 months worth of payments that went to her and not passed on. So, I told her that wasn't happening and the finance company could take the car. But, what about the kids? Well, you should have thought about that when you were spending the car payments on whatever. Besides, you live in town. Everything is in walking distance. Enter the revenge. I called the finance company, said come and take the car. There's a process we have to go through. It will take about 6 months. Next phone call to the insurance company. Her new boyfriend is driving the car. He has no license. If he writes the car off, will you pay out? No. Next call. The finance company. Explain the insurance company position. If he writes the car off, you can be certain of one thing. I will not be paying it off. Da. 2 days later, a tilt tray turned up and the car was repossessed. Turns out they can do it in less than 6 months. The dragon was upset, but never knew I'd forced the finance company's hand. Anyway, forward to car sold at auction. I paid the outstanding amount and didn't have to deal with her again.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share. Check out this other video if you haven't already.